Tonight, the first sod turned on a multi-million-dollar port development at Lucky Bay. And Broken Hill plays host to an Australian production crew for an upcoming crime thriller flick.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. The first sod has been turned on a multi-million-dollar port development at Lucky Bay near Cal. The new facility will open up new export markets for the EP's agriculture industry and also provide the local area with new employment opportunities.
Today, on this dusty paddock, the winds of change swept through the EP's agriculture industry. Politicians, farmers and teaports gathered to turn the first sod on the new grain terminal and port facility. Teaport says it's a game changer for the industry.
We're reducing costs within the supply chain of about 10 to 20%, subject to where growers are. For growers, that means money in their pocket.
Teaports is aiming to be ready for harvest at the end of this year. The facility will comprise of grain bunkers both here and at Lock, along with a port facility for exports.
Here we'll take about 370,000 tonnes of grain. In the port we'll have steel bins which take 27,000 tonnes.
Farmer and Teaport board member Andrew Polkinghorn says transporting grain from farm to export is the biggest cost facing farmers. He says this new port will provide competition where there hasn't been before.
Well, I think we need competition in the supply chain and simply because we will be better off financially.
Franklin Harbour Mayor Robert Starr says it's the biggest project this council has seen, with up to 70 jobs created. He says it adds to a number of new projects that are diversifying their economic future, presenting opportunities for residents never seen before.
Cow is actually quite lucky in a way because we've got the oyster hatchery, we've got oysters, we've got a mine up the road. We're a very progressive town.
At Lucky Bay, John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Police have released images of two men involved in a Whyalla robbery last month. Just after 6:30 p.m. on June 12, a pizza delivery driver was robbed in Baston Crescent. Cash and the pizza were stolen before one of the men escaped on a bike. He's described as Caucasian, aged in his mid-20s, around 170 centimetres tall, with brown hair and a goatee. The man who ordered the pizza is described as tanned with short dark hair and about 180 centimetres tall. There's good news for farmers in drought-stricken communities. The federal government is extending the farm household allowance, helping farmers meet their basic household expenses when times are tough.
Providing a safety net for farmers in our region affected by this year's low rainfall. The federal government has made the decision to extend the farm household allowance from 3 years to 4.
There's a few places around and there will be some that are on farm household support, but in that case, if they've had 3 years on it, well, it gives them the opportunity to push out now.
Farmers on the scheme will benefit from fortnightly payments for an extra year.
It's the same as New Start allowance, which is about $530 a fortnight for people with dependent children.
The extension is allowing farmers more time to get back on their feet.
So the idea is that it'll put some food on the table, put a shirt on your kids' back so they can go to school. But you can still get out and operate the farm, so it sort of recognises the fact that you've got a complete income drought.
It's hoped the amended bill will support farmers in the northeast corner of our region who are currently experiencing dry conditions.
Drought conditions are exerting their influence on Australia again at the moment, and the government is going to have to be up to the ball.
It's hoped a drought roundtable will be held in the coming weeks. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
A road tour on a mission to empower Australia's young women has stopped off in Port Lincoln. The girls were challenged with thoughts and ideas about empowerment, leadership and gender equality.
In a time when it's more important than ever to empower young women.
I've been so thrilled to be here in beautiful Port Lincoln and just some beautiful girls, and I feel like the future is really bright.
It's been really worthwhile and I've loved it. They're really enthusiastic and it's great that rural people get to have this experience.
Project Empower is on a road trip across Australia, and the visits to Lower Eyre Peninsula schools saw local girls open up about their own experiences.
The girls are amazing. They've been sharing stories, talking about their strengths, their values, but also about gender inequality, some of the issues, but also some of the wonderful solutions.
The girls say they've come out of the program with a new drive for change.
I think that women can actually be empowered and have an opportunity to stand up for themselves and be confident in who they are.
But creating conversations about equality and female empowerment can lead to some difficult talking points.
Talk about some really controversial issues, so things like sexual harassment. We talk about some phrases that can be quite emotive. It's been so great to see them speaking up, and I think that's what we need to make our societies better for men, women, boys and girls.
And there were some that didn't see eye to eye.
We're all not going to agree, and I think that's part of the workshop experience.
Project Empower now heads west.
Headed off to Ceduna tomorrow, and then we have a lovely little break before we head off to Western Australia and to the Northern Territory.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
A new Port Augusta program is taking proactive steps to help protect school kids against the common threat of head lice. The Itchy Emu initiative aims to rid kids of the nasty infestation, which can keep students away from school for days.
Scouring a child's hair for head lice can be a difficult job for parents.
Kids don't like sitting still, the combs pull their hair.
But parents now have an opportunity to shift that responsibility to the volunteers of the Itchy Emu program.
We smother their hair in a conditioner, just a white conditioner, and we spend time combing out head lice and their eggs.
The volunteers started the program after they themselves were scratching their heads at the amount of children who are missing valuable school time for something preventable.
Sometimes it's very minor, but they can be sent home from school.
The clinic has also been given a big boost, with the Port Augusta Rotary Club donating $4,000 of funds raised from the Pitchy Ritchie Marathon. In its 10th week, Itchy Emu has treated over 20 students from 4 different schools.
The kids are actually really enjoying coming here, so it's probably something that they're looking forward to instead of being embarrassed about.
Although with only a handful of volunteers, the clinic can only open for 1 3-hour slot a week. Organisers are calling for more helping hands to open more sessions across the week and make sure all children affected by lice are treated.
Because if they can't make it on this Friday, then they have to wait another whole week before they can make it, so that could be a week that child's out of school.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, the cameras roll on a crime flick on the streets of Broken Hill. That's next. Young students in Port Lincoln have been exposed to the world of science in a unique engineering challenge. Kids across the region took part in a series of challenges to get them thinking about a career in STEM.
Meet the next generation of scientists.
This is actually the first of its kind in South Australia, so all we're doing today is giving the kids an experience. Hopefully they enjoy it, and then they'll think more about it when they get to high school.
The Science and Engineering Challenge this week saw high school students across the region battle it out, with Cummins Area School taking out the title to be back-to-back winners.
They're a very formidable team, Cummins. They practice well and they're very well prepared.
And now the challenge has been adapted for primary school students.
What we're trying to do is to get them inspired about science and engineering careers in the future. Now, that might sound a long way away, but kids make lifetime decisions about where they want to work at this young age, so it's entirely appropriate to provide this material.
Everything from electrical wiring of virtual cities, construction of towers and much more.
Behind us we've got the mini pulp, so scientists or engineers don't normally do that nowadays, but this is using basic physics to construct a mini catapult.
We're shooting a ball into the ring, so we're doing a mini catapult and we've got to see if we get it into the hoop or not.
Kids at this age just love pulling things apart, fixing things and observing the world around them, so we're tapping into that now.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
The Port Pirie Regional Art Gallery is embracing the environment with its latest showcase. The exhibition focuses on regenerating rubbish by converting everyday objects into aesthetically pleasing sculptures.
Restoring rubbish to its former glory in a bid to create awareness about consumer culture and environmental impacts.
What you can make in a plastic bottle, it challenges your imagination. Wanton is about what's left over, and it makes us think about the environment and what we put into it.
This piece of artwork, titled Flow, is made up of 30,000 plastic lids collected over a 4-year period.
Put a lid in the environment, the water picks it up and it goes out to the ocean. And if you go underneath this, you can see what it's like to be a fish in the water and see all the rubbish on top of you.
While this globe features bottle tops from 40 countries around the world.
People to roll it around the floor and see how many different countries they recognise and see that this plastic or single-use plastic is a phenomenon that we all have a problem with.
Communicating the importance of recycling, the exhibition has already drawn large crowds.
People from school children through to older people, anyone who's interested in environment, and it is spectacular when you think of the scale of what Alison has done.
It could be some child that sees this, that goes on one day and becomes a scientist and works out what to do with it all later on.
The exhibition will be on display until early August. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill has been playing host to an Australian film production crew for an upcoming crime thriller. The new movie Locusts has everything from drama, modern Western noir themes and throwbacks to action films of the 1980s.
Lights, camera, action on this nitty-gritty crime thriller.
We've actually started with some big sequences, sort of action scenes and stunts, so that's always, a bit scary, but they've all worked out well.
Today marked a week since production of Locusts began in the Silver City. The feature film is about a guy who returns to his hometown and gets into some trouble.
Reconnects with his brother and discovers that the town has deteriorated rapidly and it's not what it once was. And it's overrun by, I guess, a criminal underworld.
Crews have been shooting around the city and in Silverton. The old Broken Hill Iceworks was even transformed into a fictional nightclub for some scenes. The director says the region will be a great backdrop for the film.
Locusts, so it's set in a kind of dystopian desert land, somewhat, and kind of about miners as well. So it's in a kind of a abandoned mining town. So like logistically, we needed something that sort of fits the motifs, but we also needed a place that was really film friendly.
Crews will be filming around Broken Hill for another week before returning to Sydney to continue production. But the city has certainly rolled out the welcome mat.
There's no negativity at all. They're all just warm and hospitable and embracing and excited. So this is my third film, so I can tell you from experience, you don't always get that.
Patrick Ryankey, Southern Cross News.
After the break, the final preparations get underway for the Augusta Cup. That's next. Hundreds of local students and community representatives have gathered in Whyalla today for the annual NAIDOC March. It marks the beginning of NAIDOC Week in town, celebrating Indigenous culture and its mark on the local community.
Indigenous pride took centre stage today as kids and adults marched to celebrate Aboriginal culture. The annual parade started at Westlands before heading down to the Middleback Theatre. Today marking the beginning of Whyalla's celebration of NAIDOC Week.
Great way of just celebrating what it is to be Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander and really sharing our culture.
The march was brought forward to today so that local students could take part before breaking for school holidays. It was a wise move, with hundreds of kids from all backgrounds and cultures walking together as one.
No, it's fantastic to see so many of the schools support it. It's great to see quite a few organisations that have come out and supported as well.
This year's theme is celebrating the work and life of Indigenous females. Titled Because of Her We Can, the theme focuses on the role of women and their contributions to their local community.
We're very, very lucky to have such awesome leaders within our culture, and we're following in their footsteps.
It marks the beginning of a busy week with an awards ceremony on Monday, a family fun day on Thursday and the annual NAIDOC Ball on Saturday. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
One of the biggest events on the local racing calendar will be upon us in just a few days. The Augusta Cup is set to pull thousands of punters through the gates, with organisers finalising the setup for Sunday's big event.
A pat of support before the big race. Trainer Dennis McMahon is hopeful one of his 3 horses come out trumps in this Sunday's local meet.
Pretty confident with a couple of horses, just really do enjoy the day actually.
After 25 years of training, there's still one constant bit of motivation for all those early mornings and late nights at the stalls.
Winning is the best part of it.
Dennis sits on top of the leaderboard for this season, along with another Port Augusta trainer, Darren Benetti. He says it's great to see local trainers matching it with the best.
Last race meeting here we had eight or seven races, and 4 of the local trainers here all won races.
Meanwhile, preparations are in full swing at the track. Come lunchtime Sunday, over 2,000 people will vie for an open space trackside.
A day at the Port Augusta Cup is a great social event, very much a community event.
The family event will feature jumping castles and face painting for the kids, as well as everyone's favourite, fashions on the field. A chance to show off your best frock and score a casual $1,000 in prize money.
That's for all ages. There's junior categories, teenagers, right up to men's and ladies.
Organisers are urging racegoers to come through the gates and celebrate a great community event. And if you plan on overindulging,
Bus leaves 20 minutes after the last race, so please make sure you travel safely, make arrangements.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Well, time now for footy tips. This week we've just got Broken Hill.
This week in Broken Hill football, we'll see North take on Central here at the Jube. In what will be game of the round, Central, with over half of the season gone, will be looking for a win. North, very strong in the other hand, and sitting second on the place behind South, will be not looking to lose that position. I believe this game will be North by 23 points. Second game sees the Robins go over the hill to play South. South very strong, sitting on top of the ladder and don't look like losing a game for the season. West, in contrast, will be trying to look for a win, but I think it'll be South far too strong in this game by easy 80 points plus.
Stay with us after the break. We'll have all the local weather details. And Amy, it was a wet and windy start to the weekend in some parts.
Yes, it sure was, Fraser. However, the Spencer Gulf will see some sunshine again soon. All the details are up next. Welcome back. Temperatures across the region dropped today with rain in some parts. A fine day in Port Augusta and Whyalla with a top of 17, while Port Lincoln experienced a wet and windy day. Taking a look at the satellite, and cloud stretching from the northwest to the southeast is generating areas of rain, mainly in the south. However, skies are clear elsewhere under high pressure. If you're spending your weekend out on the water, southwesterly winds will pick up to 30 knots tomorrow, with seas up to 2.5 metres. For those early birds, sunrise is at 25 past 7, while it will set at 5:23. And before we get to tomorrow's forecast, thank you to Floyd, who captured this lovely shot of the sunset. And remember, we love seeing your weather snaps, so if you have a photo you'd like to share, you can email it to us at localnews@sca.com.au. Now looking at tomorrow's weather, and most districts are in for a wet day. Showers for Whyalla and Port Lincoln with maximums sitting in the mid-teens. A fine day in Port Augusta and 17 degrees. Cloudy skies will clear in Port Lincoln for a mostly sunny 15 on Tuesday. Cleve will also experience a fine start to next week with temperatures sitting in the mid-teens, while Woodna will experience similar conditions. With showers clearing in Whyalla on Saturday, expect a run of mostly sunny days leading into the new working week. Maximums will be a degree or two higher in Port Augusta over the next few days, while there's a predicted top of 14 for Kadina on Tuesday. Some weekend rain ahead for Port Pirie, but that's set to clear by Sunday. Cooler days in Clare and in Broken Hill, windy conditions will ease, and despite some cloudy skies, a fine 14 is forecast for Tuesday. So while it is looking like a bit of a mixed bags of conditions this weekend, the sun is set to return early next week. Fraser.
Thanks, Amy. And that's all from the newsroom this Friday. Thanks for your company. Good night.